Hello everyone, this is Helen H. and welcome to my channel, Moss Cottage. I hope everyone is doing well today. I have something different that I'm going to be playing with today, and if you don't have this magazine, don't worry because you can play along. What you need is a light colored a light colored paint, and I used acrylic paint. You could use watercolor either. But a light color, and then you need a tube from either toilet paper or wax paper or paper towel, because you're going to be making circles, and you're going to be making circles in a dark color. So I used black. I used acrylic black, and so I'll tell you what the instructions are, but that is and then you'll just need a pen of some kind to do some doodling, and I'm just using the cheap Dollar Tree Pro Marks Grippy 1.0, so it's got kind of a big nib on it, but that is all you need. This is just some fun play. Now, the Somerset Studio magazines are very expensive. Matter of fact, I think they're prohibitively expensive. That being said, there are ones that I have purchased that I will keep forever because I consider them more of a book. You know, they're ideas and inspiration and stuff that comes from them are, to me, some of them are just priceless. But this is a fairly new one. This is from 2020, November, December, January 2020. And they changed their format from the older ones, and they give you these pages where they give you prompts to do and then a page to do them on. This one I am actually going to keep, so I don't mind playing in it. Usually what I do is, if you subscribe to the Stampington and Company email, they send you all kinds of interesting emails and stuff with stuff. I mean, they are selling products, but they do send prompts or videos that are inspiring and stuff that you don't need their products. But being on their email, once a year you will get a notification that their back issues are going on sale of all of their magazines, not just Somerset Studio, every magazine that they make, and they make quite a few different types. So when they have that big sale, then I tend to order a whole bunch of them, and they're like, well, the last time I bought them, I don't know, 18 or 19 of them. And I think it came to $60 some or something. Shipping was free, because if you hit a certain mark, it's free. But after I look at them and I'm sure I'm not going to keep them anymore, then I can put them in my booth at the antique mall and sell them, because I have a section there that is for mixed media, and I sell kind of arty stuff there. So I put the magazines there and they sell. That being said, you know, I don't have a lot of money in these because I can profit from the other end. Look, though, if you have a reuse store, a art reuse store, a scrap reuse store, thrift shops, whatever, always look at the magazines, because I have found these before for a quarter. So anyway, enough of that chit chat. So this magazine, like I said, I'm going to keep this one because I had a lot of stuff in here that I wanted to keep. Oh, and another thing the magazines will give you, they give you some artist papers to tear out and use, like this one right here is an artist paper. So this is like, you know, they give you, and it's really thick. So this could be like the cover of a journal. These are just papers for you to play with, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm doing this following directions. I know, right? Following directions. So I went ahead and started just because the paint has to dry, and you know, how fun is it to watch paint drying, right? So the next part is going to be even more fun than paint drying. You're going to get to watch me doodle. I know, right? Anyway, so I'm just going to read this real quick. It says, one of our favorite ways to get through a creative rut is to have someone else tell us what to do. And, you know, that's prompts, you know, basically prompts. You can, you know, pull the cards, the sticks, the whatever, you know, but having a prompt list. It's always fascinating to see how we can interpret instructions from someone else. The next time you're not sure what to create, follow these steps. Well, it wasn't that I didn't know what to create. It's just that I knew I needed to do something a little bit different. So that's why I decided to play in here. So the directions are: apply a wash of light color of paint to the page and let it dry. Well, okay, I don't know if you can see, I already didn't follow instructions because I used two colors of paint. I used pink and orange, but I did put white in them to make them lighter because these are just like primary color acrylic paints. I did put white in them and water them way down, to do this. Then I dried the page completely. Then it says, take a discarded bathroom tissue or paper towel, cardboard tube, dip it into dark color and stamp randomly on the page, which I did, okay? We've all done that before. Then it says, fill in the circles with doodles. So that's my next step, is to fill in the circles with doodles. So we're going to chit chat while I doodle. And if you don't have this ready or whatever, just grab a piece of paper and a pen and just doodle along with me. Whatever you're doodling, you can tear it up and use it in collage or put it on a tag or whatever. So we're just going to doodle and chat. How does that sound? Sounds good to me. So anyway, I have to answer some remarks from my dear YouTube friend Birdie. When I think, was it my last video? I think it was my last video. I was complaining about the noise from the yard people. I do not have yard people, Birdie. They are, you guessed right, they are from the HOA. And they only do, they don't mow our grass per se, but there's a strip of grass between the curb and the sidewalk, and that's what they work on. But, you'd think by the noise they make, that they're doing my whole yard. But no, they are not. We mow our own yard. And our yard here is the size of a postage stamp. At that house, it's the size of a postage stamp. So, yeah. Anyway, so that's that. No, we do not have a yard person. The only time we did actually use a yard people, when we lived in our other house, our circa 1840 old house on the other side of the county, we did use a yard servant. We had a much larger lot there, and it was predominantly grass and flower beds, which meant a lot of weeding, whatever. And we did that we lived in that house for 18 and a half years. And we did that. We had a garden and everything. And we did all of that ourselves. But my husband's mother was passing away, and his father had already passed away. My mother-in-law had cancer. And she lived in a different town. She lived about an hour away from us. So when she really went downhill with her cancer and needed some help, my husband would go and stay with her. Now, my son was still in school at the time, so, we had to stay where we were. But anyway, so at that time, while my mother-in-law was in the process of her last days, let's say last month, my husband would go up there and help her, which he should. And so during that time, we did hire a yard company to take care of the yard. Now, you'd say, well, you had a teenage son. Why didn't he do it? One of the reasons, well, there were several reasons. One, he was still playing travel soccer and simultaneously varsity soccer at school. So he was super busy with that. He was getting ready to go to college, and he just had a lot going on. The second reason why he didn't do it was because the backyard, it had a good part that was flat, but then it went to quite a steep hill. And my husband even rolled his riding mower on that hill. So there was no way we were going to let our son do that. So we hired this company, and we used them because they actually did our neighbor right across the road from us. They always did their house and or their yard. So, and we thought they did a good job, and they were very reasonable. Their quote was very reasonable. So we thought, okay, so we'll use these guys. Well, they did a fantastic job because it was more than one person. So one would be like mowing in the front, one would be mowing in the back, and then one's using the edger. They edged everything, they trimmed everything, they blew everything away. So it was, and they were done in like an hour. It was amazing how fast they were. So anyway, that was the only time we ever used a yard service. We have, so that leads me to a second thought, and I don't want anybody to get this thought about me. I do not have a lot of money. Yes, we have a cabin, but okay, we have lived our lives extremely frugally, and that is why we're able to do this. When my son was 16, we told him we would take him on a cruise to the Bahamas with one of his best friends, and which we did. The money we got used from the cruise was all money we had saved from the rewards from our credit card, which pays back cash back. You know, when you buy something, you get cash back. And we charged absolutely everything we could, and we still really do. But we pay it off every month. We don't charge anything we can't pay. Never. If I can't pay cash for it, it's not going on a credit card. But that being said, when you start charging everything you can rack up some money on the rewards. The key is, though, you have to pay it back every month, right? Or you're really not going to be making that much money. So, you know, and when I say we charged everything, we charged every recurring bill that we could. Sorry. It's in the morning. I have my coffee. So we charged everything that we could, every recurring bill that we could. And some don't allow you to, so fair enough, would pay check. But some, do, and so we did. But we also charged every car we purchased. Now, again, we don't buy new cars. We buy used cars. And we tend to buy late model used cars with as low mileage as possible, because we're going to drive these things into the ground. So, anyway, usually the car companies will allow you to charge, like, at least here in Virginia, up to $3,000 to your car you can charge. So that's exactly what we did. We charged my son's college education, the parts that we could. And again, we had the money. We had saved the money. I mean, we'd saved money for his college since he was born. But we live very frugally, and we buy secondhand almost everything. As long as it's worth, as long as it's something that it's worth buying secondhand. I'm not going to buy something that's just going to break, and it would have been better to spend a few dollars and get something new. I'm not talking about that. But so we live very frugally. So anyway, back to the cruise. So when we took my son on his 16-year cruise, I had done a flip through of the journal from that cruise, and we got an upgrade because basically the cruise was delayed due to a fire in the engine room, and it had to be repaired. So our original cruise was delayed. So I wanted to go on that cruise, so we decided to go a little bit later, and they gave us a refund and upgraded our rooms, which was really nice. So we had 2 cabins. The boys had an adjoining cabin to us, and we booked. It was funny. We booked through AAA, and if you book through AAA, they give you like champagne in your room and like a $50 per room credit towards anything you buy, shipboard or whatever. Well, the first thing I did was go into the room and confiscate the boys' bottle of champagne. Now, we don't drink. I didn't drink the champagne. We brought it home, but I was like, yeah, they're not having that in their room. Anyway, so that trip, was basically free, because it was Capital One who paid for that. So, anyway, so please don't think I have bags of money. I don't. I just live my life very frugally. And I'll tell you something, my art journey, and I think I've told you all this before, my art journey started in pretty much in 2008. And that was the year my husband lost his job banking. And, that was the big collapse, economic collapse that we had. And so when he lost his job, I don't know why. I had never really been crafty in my adult life before. But for some reason, when he was out of work, it sparked me to start getting creative. And that's when I found Shannon Green on YouTube. And then, of course, if you know Shannon Green, it's all over after that. I was hooked, right? So, yeah, so that's that. I live my life very frugally. So, and I know most of you do too. So there you go. That was just that. That was the answer, Birdie. Please don't think I've got like bags of money, because I don't. I do not. And honestly, I enjoy doing things with, I enjoy doing things with very little money. I do have a lot of craft supplies. That is my one weakness. But first of all, most of them were purchased used. And second of all, I'm not really buying them anymore. Some things, obviously you run out of glue and whatever. And if you find a super deal on something, it's not, if you're really going to use it. But I'm going to be selling a lot of my my paper pads and stuff, because I can put that in my booth in the antique mall too, because like I said, I have that little arty section, and in our antique mall, the rule is 80% has to be antique and or vintage, and 20% can be just decorative or whatever. So my magazines and paper pads are going to be my 20%. So there's that too. But I think not having everything spurs your creativity a little bit more. And in art supplies, I have nothing against people who make cards and buy, the paper pads and all the sets, everything, the chipboard, the stickers, the cutouts and everything that goes with it. And I have sets like that too that I bought at Tuesday Morning back in the day when they were super cheap, and those are probably going to be sold. But I find I'm so much more creative when I'm limited to very few supplies and very basic supplies. And I don't know why that is, but that's just me, and I'm just saying my creativity really goes up. Not that this is so great and someone else is telling me what to do, but guys, all I have is some acrylic paint and a cheapo pen, right? And a piece of paper. So, there's that too. Okay, so Birdie, the other thing you were mentioning was you were chuckling because you said about getting the song stuck in your head. And okay, thanks to you, I did have Nationwide stuck in my head for a while. And I don't know why, like sometimes everything gets stuck in my head, and then other times, music doesn't stick, and, I can listen to all the music I want and it just doesn't stick. I don't know what the difference, why sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, yes, my washer and dryer, they are a Samsung washer and dryer. The reason we bought those was because they don't have the agitator in the washing machine, and I didn't want the agitator. I wanted just the drum. Excuse me. We actually had that same washer and dryer. We had put that same washer and dryer in our old house, the one that we sold. And they were so super good. When we moved to the house that we live in now, the washer and dryer, we used them for a while, and then the dryer stopped working. So then it was like, at that point, it was like, okay, let's let's go ahead and replace them. And so we just basically replaced them with the exact same ones we had at our other house, the Samsung ones. And it's not the tune. I didn't buy them because they played a tune. I bought them because they did a good job. And the ones that we have in our house now were actually the floor models, the dent and scratch floor models, I guess. So, we got them at a discount because personally, I don't care if it has a scratch on the paint. I can scratch the paint easily myself just by putting something on top of it, one time, So anyway, yeah, so that's that. And then, so both the washer and the dryer play that little ditty that I get stuck in my head. So I get to hear it at least twice a day when I do laundry. And also you were talking, Bertie, about getting praise, that you were only going to listen to worship music because then at least if you got it stuck in your head, it's worthwhile. Okay, so the song that I get stuck in my head all the time, and I love it. And if you don't know it, Bertie, I'll try to remember to put the link in the description if I can remember. Matt Maher, or I don't know if it's pronounced Mar or Maher, it's Maher, has that song called It's Yours. And it's where he sings the Lord's Prayer. And yeah, lots of people have sang the Lord's Prayer before, but this one is so catchy and so awesome. I love the way he sings that song. And that is the one I tend to get in my head. So the funny thing was, 2 weeks ago, I was getting ready for church, and I was playing Christian music on my phone from the radio, and that song came on, and I'm getting all into it, getting my face on all this, getting ready for church. And I'm thinking, gosh, I wish our praise team would play this. So this is a God story right here. You know what happened, right? Never before played it. I went to church that day, and they played it. They introduced that song. And I was like one of the few people in the congregation who knew that song. And I was just belting out my horrendous howling because I love that song so much. And oh my gosh. So that's a good song. Good song. Okay, so I've done some doodling. Can you see the doodling? There, okay. So I've done some doodling. And then it says, fill in the circles with doodles, which I did. Tear 3 strips of decorative tape and add them to the page. Okay, so Diane, I got this idea from you, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, you got this from Christina Shack, or vice versa, or you're both just brilliant and thought of it on your own. But I haven't covered my yet, but I will. So here's some washi tape here. So I need to take 3 pieces of decorative tape. Ooh, let's use this one here. It's kind of, let's see if I can... Well, if I can find the end, I'll show you, because that's the first trial for me, is finding the end. Okay, so it's like antlers with like a flower bouquet thing in the middle, okay? So let's go ahead and take 3 pieces of this tape, and we're going to put this on here. We're just going to randomly put it on. It didn't tell you where to put them on. It just says put 3 pieces of tape on your page. So that's what I'm doing. So Bertie, you mentioned about your childhood, and I loved the story that you told about all your little treasures that you would find and bring home and everything. I love that. And I have to say, and you tell me if you experience this too, or anyone else comment about this also, if you had a good childhood. I had a blessed childhood. There was nothing I could complain about my childhood. My sister, who's older than me, 4 years older than me, she remembers it as being terrible. She thought our parents were too strict and whatever, but no, we went camping. My dad worked at IBM for his entire career, and he worked hard during the week. But on Saturdays, we usually went out as a family and we'd go to a park somewhere. We lived in upstate New York, and there's beautiful parks and lakes, and, or we'd go to like a fun museum thing or whatever. we went camping all the time. I had a wonderful childhood. And Bertie, you said that you had a wonderful childhood too. I just need to read this. It says, select a word that inspires you and write it big and bold on the page. Well, okay, Helen's following instructions was, I was going to start looking through a magazine to find a word. And when I was reading again, it says, write it. So I have to use my own writing, right? I can't, well, I mean, I could, but I'm trying to follow instructions. So anyway, Bertie, I had a wonderful childhood like you did, but I'm shocked, absolutely shocked at how many people I talked to who did not have good childhoods and like a lot of abuse and things like that. And I just didn't know that even in my generation, I was born in the 60s, that there was so much of that going on. I mean, evil has always existed, right? But I just did not know. And so I was kind of shocked. And I'm so thankful that my childhood was a good childhood. Yeah. All kinds of bad stuff going on with people. Okay, so I picked the word play, obviously. Let me see if I can play with my word play a little bit, and let's make it a little fancier than it is. If you want to just stick with me, we'll just chit-chat a little bit more. So, yes, I had a wonderful childhood, and I'm so thankful that I did. So I'm up at the cabin now, as you can tell, because my desk is different. Well, when you see this, I'll be up at the cabin. No, I'm filming this up at the cabin. When I'm at the cabin, I'm filming this. Okay, so use your words, Helen. Anyway, oh my goodness, we had not been up here for 3.5 weeks because my husband had been out of the country for 2 weeks. And so in May, I only had 4 days at the cabin, which was torture. But, okay, so here's the thing. This time I drove up here all by myself. I mean, in my car. I mean, my husband was following me in his car. But I drove the entire thing, which means I drove tons of windy country roads to get to the highway 64. Then I was on Route 64, you know, where the speed limit is 70 miles an hour, but people go 90. And then once we get, that's like an hour. The first windy country roads is an hour, then getting on the highway is an hour, and then it's an hour from getting off the highway or the interstate to up in the mountains, the curly, curvy up and down part. Which I'd done the curly, curvy up and down part, but I hadn't done the highway or the other part, and I did it all by myself. So, Holly was with me, and she was so funny because I had the radio on, and usually I like to listen to, in the morning, because we left really early in the morning, usually I like to listen to sermons in the morning, and then I listen, if I'm in my car in my afternoon, I listen to worship music, or music, right? Worship music. So it was the morning, so I wanted to put my the sermons on. Every time I put the sermon on, Holly would start protesting. She did not want to hear men's voice. She wanted to hear music. So I put the music back on, and she was fine. It was the funniest thing. So I was like, let me see if is this for real. My tape is coming up, probably because it's trying to stick to acrylic paint. So I'm going to, well, I'm going to try glue it down a little better with my glue stick. So anyway, but we did it. We got up there, but she was kind of vocal. But I knew she was okay. I knew she didn't need the bathroom or anything because she had gone before, because we obviously change her box before we leave the house. She didn't need to go to the bathroom. She was just telling me she didn't want to be cooped up in her little cage or carrier thing, because we do put her in a carrier. I couldn't drive with her. She'd be all over that car. Plus, for her safety and ours, her carrier is seat belted into the back seat in the middle of the back seat. but we made it, so yay. But anyway, so going back to what I was saying was, I think this is what, I forgot what I was saying, but I'm going on with this. So when we got here, it had been 3.5 weeks since we had been here. And oh my goodness, you would have think we hadn't been here for a year. The grass, the everything just got overgrown. So it was a total mess, and my heart just sank because what I wanted to work on when I came up this time was purely to work in the garden, to plant my tomatoes and stuff that I had grown from seed and put them all in, and play in the garden and plant some flowers. Well, okay, I was going to go steal some flowers and then plant them. But so then I see how overgrown it is. It's like, so yesterday I had to do a lot of clean up and everything before I could actually get to the fun stuff. And we have a long gravel driveway, and it's all covered with weeds, which you have to get out because it destroys a gravel driveway if you keep the weeds there. So today I'm going to go out with the sprayer and use the pump sprayer thing, and use the concoction with Dawn, salt, and vinegar. And let me tell you, I used that on my driveway here last year, and that stuff works. It does work. You have to saturate the stuff, but it does work. So I'll be doing that in a minute when it gets a little bit warmer. Yeah, I'm not so sure that I like this washi tape because the white background, but I guess I'll have to live with it, right? So, yeah, so that's that. So we were, my husband, after he worked his day, because we leave early in the morning so that he can get here in time to still put a whole day's work in, because he can work online, and we are the last house on the mountain to have high-speed internet. So yay, he can work up here and I can do my videos and whatever. But after he worked his day, I asked him to please go out and do some weed whacking, which he did. But the lettuce and radishes that I had planted right before I left last time, oh my goodness, they have shot up. And I hope to do a garden tour video of the garden here, because we have the raised beds and stuff. Oh my gosh, Birdie, your garden is gorgeous. It is everything I want this garden to be. And I'm glad you told me that you didn't spend any money on those plants, that they were given to you, because my budget for like fun gardening up here, not the food gardening, but flowers and things like that, is zero, because there's so many other things that we want to do up here. So it didn't tell me to do this. By the way, I'm not following instructions. I'm adding detail to my page here. Anyway, when I said I was going to go steal some plants down at the bottom of our mountain, which the mountain is private property. We have a HOA here, which the HOA basically makes sure you're building correctly and big enough, because we don't want people camping up here, and or you can't have tiny homes up here either. But anyway, the road maintenance. We have a gravel road on the side of the mountain, and it gets worn very quickly. So our HOA money here, usually goes to the roads. Why was I talking about the HOA up here? Okay, well, that thought completely went out of my head. Okay, I have to think about that. Well, I'm looking at this, and I'm veering. I'm not going to follow instructions now. I want to add some... I'm going to add some other tape too. I don't like just these 3 pieces floating here. And I've got this fun little tape here. And I believe that this, I'll show you. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this tape here came from Dollar Tree. Does that look familiar to anyone? Just these colorful little marks or whatever. It's darling tape. I love it. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Here's the end. So, yeah, what was I talking about? The HO, why was I even mentioning that? I don't know. Well, that train's left the station. Probably won't come back anytime soon. Or if it does come back, it will come back as soon as I shut the camera off, which will be very soon. I just want to add these pieces of tape to this page. And I just kind of add it willy-nilly. But I am going to put it with these other pieces because, like I said, I'm not so fond of just that white background. I thought it would disappear more when I put it on the page, but, you know, it didn't. So there you go. I think this is adding a little something, something. Yeah. Oh, so yes, okay, I know why I was talking about the HOA. Okay, it did come back to me. So this is a private mountain. Nobody should be on this mountain unless you live here or visiting or delivering something or whatever. So I figure I own a part of this mountain. I'm going to go down to the bottom of the mountain. There is mullein growing down there, and mullein is a plant that has medicinal different medicinal purposes. It looks like kind of like lamb's ear, like the leaves are that sage green and they're fuzzy. They're bigger. They tend to be bigger and longer than lamb's ear. And then they grow this big stalk, you know, up in the middle. But I want mullein, and there's lots of it down at the bottom of the mountain. So I'm going to go dig some of that up and bring it up here. And also we have... I don't know what they are. I have to find what they are, but they grow all over the bottom of the mountain. And like driving up here, you'll see them all over the mountains. They're the purpley flowers that grow on long stalks like this. And my husband has gone down and cut them for me so that I could have a bouquet of them. But I think I'm actually going to go down with a shovel and dig some out and plant them up here. My tiger or daylilies that I have up here, they were given to me by one of my mountain neighbors. So I'm gonna see her Sunday. She asked me to go to church with her, so I'm gonna go to church with her on Sunday, and I'm gonna ask her if she has anything else she's digging up that she wants to pass my way, because I do have some seeds, some wildflower seeds and stuff, and I'll see if I can't get some of that growing. I have herbs up here that I'm growing, and then I started some echinacea at my other house, and if that starts to grow, I'll bring that up here anyway. All right, so that's enough of that. So guys, here's my little page, my finished page. So this is a fun little exercise. So if you don't know what to do today, put a wash of paint on, put some circles, doodle in your circles, put 3 pieces of tape, and then a word. You can do one or all of those things, because you see I didn't follow instructions to the T either. I embellished. How's that? I embellished them. So anyway, guys, I hope you have a terrific day. I hope you liked this video. Please give me a thumbs up if you did. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I ask that you do so that more people can see the content. And until the next video, get outside, enjoy the end of spring, almost to be summer. And until the next video, I hope you're truly blessed. Bye-bye.